players. And the dynamics are evolving to give you new reasons to go rogue and more ways to score sweet gear.
Initiating rogue protocol.
But the Dark Zones aren't the only multiplayer option we checked out. We also went a few rounds with the new organized PvP modes. Here's what we learned. Crime pays. There's a new way to go rogue for fun and profit in the...
Okay, so this first way to go rogue is by looting in the DZ. There are certain boxes, I'm guessing, that if you open them up, like this girl's doing here, you will be marked as rogue. Now, from what I understand is, this is like the first stop. Once you open this, there will be different little places in the Dark Zone where you can go and get more stuff, right? So this is like the first way to go rogue, by looting in the Dark Zone, which is like the, I guess, if you want loot, this is the way you go rogue, you know? But like I said, so she's opening that up. She's going to get a rogue timer. And then I believe on the map, it gets marked. As you can see right next to the little map on the top left, it says Thieves' Den Triangulation 35%. Right? So from what I know is that she opens this. She has to go to certain different parts of the Dark Zone. And then she can go into this Thieves' Den where there's like a vendor that sells you stuff that has different things in it. So that's what it seems like.
In the Dark Zone, become a thief. Break into a locked chest or steal the entire contents of a DZ drop and you'll earn more loot than you normally would. You'll also be marked rogue and become vulnerable to attack from your fellow agents.
Watch out, there's one coming for you.
But your thievery will reveal a hidden signal. Follow it by completing more.
Yep, like I said, see, there's different spots in the Dark Zone where you can go and gain more XP or more loot or whatever it is that eventually, as you can see, look at Thieves' Den Triangulation is 40%. So now it's higher.
Rogue actions, and you can eventually unlock a secret.
Yep, a secret entrance to the Thieves' Den.
Entrance to the Thieves' Den. In the Thieves' Den, you'll have access to a special vendor with valuable wares, and you'll have your rogue status cleaned and clear.
Right, exactly. So that is the first way of going rogue, by looting. You loot these boxes that make you go rogue. By the way, when you go rogue by these boxes, you can still get killed, so it's not like you're safe. But when you open these boxes, you go rogue, you go to these other different locations in the map or in the Dark Zone that eventually add up to you unlocking the secret vendor that lets you buy stuff, and it also clears your rogue status. That is one way to go rogue.
Clean loot. Dark Zone extractions are a tempting target for players looking to go rogue and rob their fellow agents. So securing your contaminated loot is always a bit risky. However, in the Division 2, some of the loot you find in a Dark Zone will be clean. That means you can equip it whenever you like, and you...
Okay, number 2. The Dark Zone in Division 1 did not have clean loot. Everything you got had to be extracted for you to be able to wear it. In Division 2, there's no need for that. Some of the things that drop, you will be able to equip them on the spot. You guys understand? That is what clean loot means. Clean loot is loot that you get into the Dark Zone that you can put on as you get it. There's no need to extract it. But there is also loot that you need to extract, just like Division 1. That is what clean loot is, if you're not understanding. Moving forward.
You can't lose it if you die, so your DZ runs will be that much more lucrative.
That was made for the people that were like, bro, I just spent 2 hours farming and this guy killed me and took it all. Which is a good thing, by the way. I don't mind them having loot that you can just put on when you get it. So, you know.
Normalization. If a player with powerful gear rolls up on a player with weak gear, the results could be messy.
Oh, get stuck.
That's where normalization comes in. In the Division 2, most Dark Zones will be normalized, which means all gear and weapon stats are brought within a narrow range.
Okay, normalization. This is for the people that go into the Dark Zone with low gear and you end up fighting people that have better gear than you. You're obviously going to lose. So what they did for Division 2, they said most Dark Zones, which means it's probably 2 out of the 3 Dark Zones, will be normalized, which means everybody's gear is going to be around the same range. That way you can't complain about somebody having better gear than you, and that's why you lost. So now when you go into the Dark Zone, whichever 2 it is, because the guy said most Dark Zones, and there's only 3. So when he says most, I'm assuming it's 2 out of the 3. So 2 out of these 3 Dark Zones are going to be normalized, which means everybody's gear is going to be balanced. That way you can't complain about somebody having better gear than you, and that's why you die.
Okay, I got
So
one.
no one totally outclasses anyone else.
Right, see, this guy still gets melted, but that's because he's shooting him in the back. Like, I like the damage this guy did. I look at this damage this guy does, by the way. I like it. But like I said, the reason he killed him so fast is because he shot him in the back. But again, the gear is normalized, which means everybody's gear is around the same.
While you can still take your prey down quickly with a clever ambush, you now have a better chance to react, survive, and decide whether you want to retreat or push the engagement.
They're flanking right. Flanking right.
Down, I'm down. Oh, no.
Occupied dark zones. Did you catch how I said most dark zones will be normal?
Occupied Dark Zone is where the big boys are gonna be. This is the place where there is going to be zero complaining. This dark zone right here is going to be the shit. This is gonna be filled with tough NPCs, friendly fire, everything goes in this goddamn dark zone. So I better not hear not one of you complaining if you step foot in this dark zone right here. It's going to be one out of the 3 dark zones that is going to be a mess of just people shooting the fuck out of each other. So like I said, I better not hear you guys complain. But this dark zone right here is pretty much everything goes. Your gear is your gear. If somebody comes in here with low level gear and you got high level gear, you're gonna fuck them up. This is what this dark zone is. Alright? There's gonna be tough NPCs. Look at right there, right at the doorway, there's one of those new hunters or whatever the hell they are. This dark zone right here is gonna have friendly fire. Your gear is your gear. There's no balancing. Everything goes in this dark zone. Now let's watch it.
Normalized? Well, once you reach the end game, dark zones will start becoming occupied for set periods of time. We can't show you one just yet, but we can tell you that an occupied dark zone is not normalized.
Got another one down.
So every ounce of juice you can squeeze out of your gear will give you an edge. Furthermore, there are no icons telling you who is rogue and who is not. And friendly fire is always on. Kinda makes you wonder what sort of loot is in store for players willing to brave those conditions.
He also said occupied dark zones is for a period of time. So what I'm assuming is 1 out of the 3 dark zones at different time periods is going to be occupied. So it might not be the same dark zone every time. It might change and be like south dark zone is occupied or north dark zone is occupied. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool that they're going to change it like that.
Shades of Rogue. Take this short quiz to discover how rogue you are. Have you just entered a dark zone or only been fighting enemy factions? You are not rogue. Other players can't damage you unless they are rogue. Have you broken into a chest, stolen an entire DZ drop, or held down the button to toggle you and your teammates rogue?
Rogue 2.0, by the way, confirmed. Hold down the button that makes you flag up or go rogue. So Rogue 2.0 in Division 2, guys.
Rogue protocol initiated.
Then you are rogue. You can attack other players to earn XP, gain currency, and steal their loot, but any other player can try to take you out. Have you turned rogue and taken out another player? You are now disavowed rogue.
Your agent status is disavowed.
Okay, so there's non-rogues, which is people that haven't shot at anybody, people that haven't done anything, you're just fighting NPCs. Rogue is when you first flag up, when you don't have a timer, but you are rogue. Whether you can get it by flagging up by holding the button, or you can get it by doing the whole loot box that makes you flag up. That is also rogue. Now, disavowed rogue is when you start shooting people.
The red icon means you are more visible on the map to other players, so watch your back. Finally, have you really leaned in to the disavowed rogue thing and killed a bunch of other agents? Then you have reached your final form.
And then your manhunt, which is when you kill the shit out of everybody, and now everybody knows where you're at.
Manhunt Rogue.
Manhunt now in effect.
All players are alerted to your presence. The bounty on your head is sizable. Knowing the 4 Dark Zone states is essential to living your best Dark Zone life, as is knowing how to clear them, letting your timer expire without performing rogue actions, visiting the Thieves' Den, dying and respawning, or hacking a manhunt terminal are reliable ways to get clean. But if you want to double down, you can sabotage the manhunt terminal. This will make your manhunt more difficult, but also more rewarding. Just remember, you still...
Okay, so when he said sabotaging the rogue terminal, so you guys know how in Division 1, after Rogue 2.0 came out, you go manhunt and you gotta go take it off at a certain location. It's pretty much the same thing, but it gives you two options. When you reach your terminal, you can either sabotage it, and it gives you more XP, more rewards, or you can clean it off. Right? You can either cleanse your rogue and you're not rogue anymore. So it gives you an option whether you want to continue and make the loot better, or you can just clear it and move on. Or you can die and respawn, or like they said, or you can visit So when you're rogue, you can clear it at the post right here where she's at right now. You can clear it there, move on. But if you sabotage it, you can keep going and clear it at the thieves' den, or you can just die. So there's different ways to clean your manhunt, not just go to the little box and clear it, you know.
You'll have to find and access another terminal to lose the manhunt and get your loot. Ease into it. Now, if you're having visions of getting jumped by other players immediately upon entering a dark zone, fear not. Your first visit to a dark zone will be a PvE mission, so you'll only have enemy factions to worry about.
Okay, so this is for the people that when the first game came out, they complained because, well, obviously if you're not a big fan of the game and you're just kind of getting into it and you don't know what you're doing, the second you walk into the dark zone in Division 1, you could just get jumped by 4 people and you're done. Right? There was no way to figure out where you were, what the dark zone was. You literally went in there and you were at risk of just getting jumped, and then you don't like the game. You're like, fuck this game, I just got killed by 4 people, I'm out. But in Division 2, it seems like the first mission you get in the dark zone is going to be PvE, which gives you a chance to look at the terrain, to look at where things are at, so you know where you're going to and what you're going to be doing and how everything is set up. Right, so they give you a chance to learn the dark zone before you actually start fighting people or put yourself at risk of losing your gear, etc., etc.
These missions give you a chance to learn how that dark zone turned dark and get to know the...
Right, and it also gives you like a little storyline based on like what happened in the dark zone and why is the dark zone, right? So this PvE mission is pretty cool. It gives you a background to the dark zone. You know, it doesn't just tell you, oh, in there it's dangerous, you know, kind of like Division 1. So I'm actually excited to see all the little backstories to these dark zones because there's 3 of them.
The lay of the land. For example, one of the DZs began as a depot for shipments of military gear, so be on the lookout for places that you can use the shipping containers and rail cars to your advantage. And keep an eye on the vegetation as well. Washington, D.C. is pretty overgrown these days, and the tall grass can obscure your position while you make sure nobody messes with your loot extraction.
Cargo loaded, ready to go.
Organized PvP. When you just want to mix it up.
And then we have the... Well, yeah, I will. I don't have a problem with playing YouTubers' videos. I'll watch them. I'll watch some. But I'm just explaining it as simple as I can. You know what I mean? I'm not going into depth. I'm just giving you guys like the most simple explanation. So organized PvP is pretty much the game modes, kind of like scrimmage and last stand, where you have when you have an objective and you have your teammates with you, and there's a timer, there's rules, etc. And it's also normalized, which means everybody's gear is balanced.
With your fellow agents, conflict is the place to do it. This is where you'll find organized PvP, with 3 custom-made maps and 2 modes at launch: skirmish and domination.
Yep, here they come.
Point Alpha was captured by your team.
These fights will be normalized, just like the dark zones, and they'll be set up with skill-based matchmaking.
Skill-based matchmaking. So you're gonna be paired up with people around the same skill as you, is what they're saying. So you know, you can't complain about, oh, they put me in a match with players that were way too better than me or way too worse than me, you know. So that's good. They're putting you up against players that are in your same skill level.
He's right here.
Conflict will have its own progression track and rewards, although I think we can all agree that scaring the crap out of other players with explosive crossbow bolts is a reward unto itself. You're going to learn a lot more about the Division 2 in the lead up to launch on March 15th. You can pre-order now to guarantee your access to the upcoming private beta, or register on the official Division 2 site for a chance to get in. Be sure to stay up to date on the latest Division news by subscribing to this YouTube channel and by visiting us at news.ubisoft.com.
Alright,